The number of people hospitalized with flu-like symptoms is now the highest it's been in almost a decade.
First, the deadly flu and the new and alarming numbers coming in from the CDC tonight.
Next to the deadly flu epidemic, the newest figures from the CDC finding that the outbreak hasn't peaked yet.
Hello everybody and welcome to Jeff the Pharmacist. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, for watching this video. It is a great honor to have you watching. Today I wanted to talk about the current flu season. You know the hype, you've seen the hype. It is incredible, the news reports. It's heartbreaking to hear about the deaths from the flu. So I wanted to kind of answer for you guys, trying to cut through the drama, cut through the kind of the show. You know, the news reports, they always have a little bit of a show. They show you a little tiny bit of data, and then they show you faces of people who have succumbed to the flu virus and who have died from this illness in a horrible and tragic way. And we hate seeing that, and it really kind of makes us very sad. But I wanted to cut through that and kind of just give you guys sort of how exactly does the flu compare to previous years. I want to say that there is certainly a panic. So if you look at kind of my own experience as a retail pharmacist, people are coming in with prescriptions for the flu. I mean, I had a patient come in with a stack of prescriptions for her family about this high, you know, 10 minutes before closing, but that's okay. I filled them anyways. But I can see the panic. Every other prescription is a Tamiflu prescription. We're running out of Tamiflu. We're having trouble acquiring it now. I know it is. It's a big mess out there. The panic is there, but I want to kind of look at the data from the CDC and kind of give you guys the information to make an accurate judgment as to where is the flu season based on the data that we have. So I did another video about kind of why the flu is seasonal, kind of what the symptoms are of the flu versus a cold. Do you have the flu? Do you have a cold? And I wanted to look at the same data. So the CDC has data on positive flu tests. So there are labs throughout the country that send in data on how many specimens are actually coming up positive for the flu. And I wanted to go over that with you. All right, so if you look at this flu season, you'll see that the number of positive specimens is on the left side here, and percent positive is on the right side, and they have different lines. But what you'll see is the number of positive specimens, kind of in the peak week which was week 2 of this year. So. Week 2 of this year is the peak, so it seems like we've already hit the peak flu week for this year. And while the number of the hype and the number of Tamiflu prescriptions appear to be going up, I don't have that specific data, but just anecdotally, just from my own personal experience, the hype seems to be getting worse, but the actual peak seems to have passed now. It's not dropping off as dramatic as it has in the past, but if you'll look, so this year the flu peaked at 16,000 number of positive specimens submitted to the CDC. If you look at the 2015 to 2016, or last year's season, it peaked at 8,000. So that suggests that it's a lot worse than last year. Now, if you look at the year before last year, the 2014 to 2015 season, that one was actually pretty comparable. It peaked at 14,000 positive specimens. So while it is a very bad flu season, it's not twice as bad as we've seen in the last 10 years. It's maybe, you know, it's a little bit worse than what we saw in the 2014 and the 2015 season. And you know, as you can see here, this is the 2013 to 2014 season, and that is our current season is a lot worse than that one. So basically, it's a little bit worse than the 2014 to 2015 season. Now, if you look at last year's number of pediatric deaths, that was 110 pediatric deaths reported to the CDC that were flu-related last year. In the 2015 to 2016 season, it was 93 tragic pediatric deaths. And in the 2014 to 2015 season, it was 148. And as you saw in my as you saw in the 2014 to 2015 graph, that was also a very bad season, and we're not at that level. It doesn't appear that we are at that level at all. And if you look at the graph, that kind of just shows you pediatric deaths. And the reason we look at pediatric deaths is because adult flu deaths are not tracked because well, they're not required to be tracked by law, I think is the main reason, and the adult deaths are probably more complicated. There's probably more comorbidities and things going on with the adults. But it looks, as far as pediatric deaths go, it looks pretty similar to previous seasons. I mean, obviously it's awful and extremely morbid and sad, but it does look to be on par with previous seasons. So that that isn't as that number isn't as crazy as the number of positive specimens that are coming in. So that's just kind of the raw data, and I wanted to present that to you so that you guys would have a little bit more of an accurate picture of where we are in the flu season. As you can see, appears that we've already peaked in the second week of January. So obviously you still need to be worried about it. Even past the whole flu season, the seasonality of the flu, once that is done, you still need to be worried about it. Definitely get your flu shots. And the question is, and I haven't seen any reports on the effectiveness of the flu shot, but I mean, you know, it's a pretty bad season, so that might suggest that it's not as effective, but we don't really know. It's just kind of a guess. So I hope this helped you. You know, as I showed you before, some of these news reports, they have us kind of quivering in our boots, and I wanted to help you just look at the raw data and see exactly kind of where we are in the flu season, so that you you can either panic if you feel that's justified, but you can have the most information. So I want to thank you guys for watching Jeff the Pharmacist. Again, it's a great honor to have you watching. I want to thank you guys a lot. So thanks a lot.